Afternoon, Town will appoint special planning and zoning, Town Plan Commission, 4 o'clock, January 28th, 2026. Call to order, roll call.
Charles Bromer.
Peters.
Amy Baxter.
Paul Wilharm.
Joan Socek.
Public comment. No public comment. Approval of previous minutes. January 21st, 2025. Anybody?
I think the time was wrong. I think it says 4:30 on that. I'm not sure. I couldn't print it.
That's the next meeting. Oh, yeah.
It was at the very bottom.
Yeah, I already had that, same thing there.
Yep.
All I had.
I'll make a motion to approve the town will appoint special planning and zoning CPC meeting on January 21st, 2026, with the one correction to the time of this meeting that we're currently.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Old business, review, discuss, possibly approve land use permit applications. There are none. Zoning ordinance rewrite, review and discuss modifications. So last meeting we got through the definitions.
I think everybody received a copy of this that I just put together to cover what we discussed at the last meeting. I also did add on page 11, number 57, lakefront. So that would become a little bit clearer as to what is the front of a lot. Obviously, shoreline and inland parcels would be different. The rest of it is mostly what we talked about, except for the last items on page 16 and 17, items 1, 10, 11, and 12, yard front, yard rear, yard side. Yard front, we can delete the second and third sentence because now they're covered in 57 with lakefront itself. And then also I thought it would be a good idea to delete the last sentence in those three items, because they say that the setback will be measured from the road right away. That's part of what the setbacks would be measured from, but it doesn't cover all the different setbacks. And I think it's kind of redundant. It's covered in other sections and such, so. I couldn't find anything in the Ashland zoning ordinance about lot widths. We had talked about that. I didn't see anything there. Did you find anything?
No.
Yeah, they don't cover it at all, so I don't know if that definition that we have is okay for now, unless somebody thinks that needs to be changed.
I did a little research. I gave Rich a copy of the Vilas County Shoreline zoning ordinance and how they do their width. I like the fact that they have a diagram there. Just something for, not saying we have to duplicate what Vilas County has, but I think it's pretty straightforward. I also reached out last week, I think it was January 22nd, with Steve Nordquist, our town assessor, and I shared the email that I was bouncing back and forth with him. And basically that is also how he thinks not only himself, but other assessors measure width. It is frontage width, like shown in this diagram, not the lineal frontage like we were discussing, but perpendicular to either the side or, in this example, the mean bearing down the center. It's still perpendicular instead of being on an angle or lineal. So just more FYI going forward. But Yeah, excuse me, Steve Norquist, he's had the same. I gave two examples, example A and B, and the same thing you got back from Ashland County, Blakeman, the CA in Ashland County, and they're all the same. It's perpendicular to the side yard lot which is basically 90 degrees.
Charlie, with A and B,
It-
that's not on here.
Yeah, no, it's in my email. I had to send something as visual aid for Nordquist to look at. And I said, one was A where it's measured straight across and B was on an angle like we were talking last meeting with the applicant that was in attendance. And he said, no, it's example A. That's how we measure it, is perpendicular to side lot line.
That's what this diagram.
Correct. I have yet to find anybody that is measuring on an angle or taking the frontage as being along the lake.
Well, I coordinated with Bruce this week as well. And they are measuring it across, from Ashland County. I think the difference there is if it's an irregular shape, it needs to be the average of that width. What is different between Ashland County and here is here for S1, we have 200 feet at the road and 250 feet at the lakeshore. Ashland County has 3 different classifications that vary from like 150 feet wide, 250 feet, 350 feet wide. So their lots, they're assuming that the lots are the same distance across road and lake. So that will open up a question as to how we calculate and what our average needs to be on the case that we reviewed last week. But that's where theirs does differ. So, for example, class 1 lake, 150 feet wide. If you've got an irregular shape, you need to average 100 and 150. Here, we've got 200 and 250. So if it, is an odd shaped lot, how do we, what is it, 250? Is it 200? Is it some other number?
Thanks for your research on that.
Yeah, no problem. If anyone wants to look at the emails I sent to the assessor, I sent them to Rich. He can pass them on, or I can. It's not a big deal.
How do we feel about including this in our ordinance?
Honestly, I kind of like it, but that maybe it's the first time everyone's had a chance to look at it, so I don't expect an answer. Me, just going through the counties in northern Wisconsin, this one seemed to be one of the more clear example, especially with the picture included. Just a thought. We don't have to copy Vilas County. We don't have to copy Door County. I mean, we're our own zoning, but I thought that was pretty straightforward, and they have a lot of lakes in Vilas County, I know. Inland lakes, but still.
This makes plenty of sense, that's for sure.
I guess I'd like to look at it in a little more detail myself, and rather than trying to make a decision now, but it sounds like it would be worthwhile to pursue. We'll just leave it open for now, and we'll talk about it again and see.
Yeah, and I think we have it on the draft agenda for next week's meeting as new business or maybe it's old business.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks for reaching out to Blake.
Yep.
Next on the list is page 18, zoning districts.
Yeah, I see we're getting rid of the density, low, medium, high, higher. I think that was something that either Alex or George Hecker had mentioned. Unless we have a definition of what low density, medium density, high density is. So I think that's a good thing. Not saying there's other instances in the ordinance where we use the term low density or high density, but
Anything else on 18? Carrying over to 19. Page 20. '21 has a change.
Is a professional office that takes the place of what was home office studio, or is that different?
No.
Basically the same?
Yeah, it's a professional. It used to say professional office, and we changed it to office professional. Just so when people read down the list, they don't read down and go professional, and they keep going. So actually on page 21, number 13 should be deleted.
Yeah.
Did the same thing with non-metallic mining. We changed it to mining, non-metallic.
So gravel pit thing like sand pit,
Pardon?
a gravel pit, sand pit, something like that.
Yeah, it's in definitions, I think, as to what,
Well, see, like underneath the heading on W1, just talking about low density in the second sentence, it says provides for very low density of development. And I don't know if that's what Mr. Hecker was worried about. How do you define very low density? I get it, but I don't know what other terminology you can use to replace that.
yeah, that's a good point. We should probably get rid of that because it gets very confusing as to what's medium, what's low, what's high, what's very low, without definitions. And
Sounds like the control on a stove.
Simmer. But I don't know what you would replace the language with. It provides for blank of development. I mean,
Limited development.
yeah. And then there's going to be people that say, well, what's limited?
Yeah.
You can't win. I know what he was saying when he brought it up, and there's always going to be a little bit of interpretation left up to either the TPC that's seated at the time, or, you know,
I say we just leave it here.
it has very low density. I just don't know how you can win. I mean, it's,
Right.
and I agree with taking out what we did earlier about what R1, R2, R3 is, getting that language of density out of that definition. That's fine with me, but I just don't see how we can clean it up so much that you're not going to have, yeah, you could use limited as a word, but someone's going to say, well, what does limited mean? I just don't think we can win.
if it's okay, I'll look at these and see if I can come up with some language in all the districts that talk about density.
Okay.
And should I rework that, and I'll bring something back to our next meeting.
Thanks, Jim.
Perfect. Page 22.
Again, we got very low density in there that we can do something with that too. The definition of YouTube.
23 is basically nothing. Page 24. Here we got rid of low density.
Yeah.
And then this low density. I think Alex Hecker and I had some notes printed on the side. I think one thing he mentioned in one of his letters, maybe it should be listed as this, is that a low density residential development should be single household. You know, he was concerned about commercialism encroaching into residential and historic neighborhoods.
Well, we've already got multi-household dwellings as a permitted use in R1. So,
Well, that's 1 acre zoning. It's not like, you know, I'll say more in R2, which I know is where his neighborhood is.
oh, okay.
But this is 1 acre zoning. I was just saying it's something that he had mentioned. And under conditional use B, number 3 cemetery, I think the lot area would not allow for a cemetery in a 1 acre zoning. In fact, I think the state requires at least 10 acres now, 20 acres.
By state statutes, if you want to build a cemetery,
Oh.
it's minimum 20 acres.
I'm sorry, but
Yeah,
I'll let you handle it.
public comment.
Yeah, that's the answer.
Yeah, anyways, I think 1 acre zoning would not be ideal for a cemetery. I just can't see how it's allowed, so. Not in R1, R2, or any of the small acreage areas.
Okay, I don't think that'd be an issue, deleting that.
It's just a suggestion.
So we're taking it out?
Yes.
Page 25. '26, R2, we got rid of density.
So cemetery on that should be deleted.
Hang on, Drew. What page you're on? 26?
26.
26. Yep, and I think apartment condominium and condominium expandable would not be compatible with the description above. Apartment condominiums, condominiums expandable. And I think those are all new to that district, and I think that was another concern of the Heckers living in R2 as they are on Nebraska Row. I know R2 is not a very expansive district, but if you read that, housing opportunities on smaller lot, the current density and historic character of the district. I don't know where an apartment, a condominium, or an expandable condominium would necessarily lie in that. It's also, up Whitefish Street where a few other things are happening. My suggestion is to remove 1, 2, and 3 under permitted uses.
Could we move them to conditional uses though? Just,
I wouldn't, because in this town, a conditional use is basically a permitted use. Tell me the last time a conditional use was denied. The only one that comes to mind is Terry and Kathy Follis up here on Herring Street, where Al Wyman lives now in that little property. And that was like 20 years ago. I have concerns about conditional uses in this town, but I'll save that for later.
I have problems with finding affordable housing, and that just seems like an apartment on that road near the other low-income housing might be a good place for a conditional use.
But you have to look at the district where R2 is, and right now it's up Nebraska Row and
What's the size of R2? Refresh my memory.
9,600 square feet.
Even an apartment building, condominium, expandable, cemetery. You're just not gonna fit that stuff on 9,600 square
No,
feet.
and Amy, the only R2 is in the orange, which is, if you want to send that over to Amy, a little bit, I think, down by the burial ground by the marina, maybe, and up on Nebraska Row. I just don't see,
Okay,
and that was their concerns. I know that was, so if we're hearing from someone who owns property and lives in that district, I'd like to at least acknowledge their commentary. So that's the only reason I bring that up.
okay.
And again, I agree with Jim, get rid of cemetery as a conditional use.
That cemetery,
Get rid of it.
Mhm.
86, that's all.
crossing off 1, 2, and 3 as well makes sense.
Yep.
Moving on to page 27, R3 residential district.
Cemetery again.
Page 28. R4 residential district.
My only concern is, do we have to include the actual parcel number that I highlighted in yellow here? Because aren't we kind of pinning ourselves into just one area? That would be my only concern. What if it doesn't happen in that LP number?
Well, the only reason we put it in there is just because it's a 3-year timeframe. So that if it doesn't happen, if nothing's done at that time, the town board has the option of either extending it or throwing it out. But yeah, I don't know that we really need to have it in there.
I'm just saying in case something not,
I
feel like a future town plan commission. Yeah. Well, let's say they find something farther over on Rice Street, for instance, throwing it out there, and it's a completely different LP number. I don't know. I just don't want to see it handcuffing, either that.
What if you put in a sentence that just said, other parcels may be considered as appropriate or something?
You could add that too.
Oh, but there'd have to be a map change, right?
But then, yeah, you're gonna have to,
Yeah.
well, R4 right now just shows the parcel up there by the fire hall, correct? So if that changes, you'd still have to go through a zoning map change, correct? But
I guess it doesn't have to be in there. I don't see any reason why
it just seemed like to me it would be kind of painting yourself into a corner, maybe. I don't,
it might.
but you're on the Affordable Housing Committee, so I don't know how you felt about it or.
Well, I think we put it in there just to clarify things so people knew what area was being developed and everything. But
I mean, if you feel it has to be in there, fine, but
no, I don't think it has to be.
Okay.
How do you feel with the town board object if it was in there or not, or?
I don't think so. I don't think the parcel number matters.
Okay,
yeah. So then just get rid of that whole,
yes. then we're-
Paragraph.
Yeah. Page 29.
home occupation under permitted uses used to say outside the shoreline overland district. Now it's just anywhere, and same thing with home business under conditional use. Wasn't that always outside shoreline overlay district? Which would be 1,000 feet, right? I don't know if it matters, feel strongly about that. I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah. So in permitted use, you're saying home occupation?
Well, I think before, didn't it say home occupation and then with the parentheses outside of the shoreline overlay district? And wasn't it under conditional uses, home business was also outside shoreline overlay district? I'm just thinking about cases where if someone has a house right on the lake, do you want a home business as conditional use, bam, right next to them within 1,000 feet of the lake? I don't know.
I would say probably not.
Maybe home occupation as a permitted use is fine, but I worry about a home business being right next to houses on the lake per se. Obviously, home occupation is a lesser density use than a home business.
Right, like, the dog breeding place, the lighthouse property.
Yeah.
Home. That was a home occupation.
Or someone like, an art studio.
Yeah.
A lot of go in and out traffic all day long. At least I believe that's how it was. Double check. That's one.
It used to say home occupation outside the shoreline overlay district. The same thing with the home business.
At the very least, I'd like that language
For
inserted
home-
back in for home business
home
as a
business.
conditional use.
Yeah.
Maybe home occupation would be fine. See how it goes. We want to encourage home-based business, but at the same time, we also have to recognize, neighboring property owners who may want to have some peace and quiet, especially along the lake if they're paying lot taxes.
Mhm.
So on home business, in parentheses, it's gonna say outside shoreline overlay district.
Yeah, correct. I don't know how anyone else feels about it.
No, that's good. Page 30. S31, S2.
Not much change there.
Oh. Page 32, C1 commercial. Spilling off to 33.
Hi, big doggy.
That's Sue Ellen.
Huh?
Did you have a comment?
No, I'm just talking to the dog that walked in.
Ready for 34?
Mhm.
So with that mixed use under note 1, it says all commercial activities in this district shall require the property owner to occupy a dwelling on the same parcel as a commercial activity. Do we need that as note 1, or can we move that sentence up somewhere underneath the definition or the description? And I was thinking of inserting it just before all uses must conform to the requirements of the Ashland County Shoreline Protection Ordinance. Or was there a reason why we had to have note 1? I almost think it should be included in the description right off the bat, but I guess it doesn't matter.
The only reason I think we decided to make it a note because the paragraph after the heading is kind of a description of each area. It
Okay.
doesn't really get into regulation.
Okay. Well, it's important that it's in there, so if it's note 1, that's
Yeah,
fine.
and we did take out that note 2
I see that.
that we had in there for a while, but we did say that was not a good idea. Like you say, the conditional use is
Well, yeah, I mean,
easily granted.
conditional use, I see parking lot here. Well, I mean, do we have a definition for parking lot? What's the difference between a parking lot and a driveway?
Yeah. Which we do. Good question.
Page 12 of the section.
We only have 100 and some definitions, Paul.
Right.
5 or more
A structure.
Public.
5 or more
spaces open to the public.
to the public, okay. Well, if it's 5 or more spaces open specifically to the public, we can leave parking lot in conditional use.
Sure.
So there's a map that goes along with this, and I think we should really study that map.
Yeah, if everybody's okay with the language there on page 34.
Mhm.
Okay, and we should, yes, get. This mixed use, or the mixed use district is something new. Have to do a map change. And which came up.
And it jogs around the Wilderness Preserve property, right?
It does.
That's probably not going to change the.
I like the map in its present format, but it's subject to shortening it or extending it up Middle Road.
Well, it's a start. It was part of the comprehensive plan. It kept coming up that a certain amount of townsfolk wanted a larger area that they can do more commercial. I wouldn't want to say commercial activities, but as long as you're living on the parcel, do a little bit more. And it seemed logical to go at least to Miller Farm Road because the properties along that by and far already have CUPs or are semi, again, don't want to use the word commercial, but you know, they're more than a home occupation or a home business.
There's lots of stuff.
Let's go with that. Well, Keith Soul, when he was doing sewage, he had that Chucky's mini storage, you had the ferry line with their property and the Bell Street Partners with their facility, Greg Nelson or Cigar with what he was doing. So yeah, there's a ton of examples in that short stretch of road out Middle Road. And maybe it expands in the future. I don't know.
Yeah, if everybody's okay with that map, I mean, we'll present that in public hearing and I'm sure we'll get some feedback from people there.
Oh, looks good. Looks
Yeah,
good.
it's-
Okay, thanks, Butch. Okay, we're done with 35. The overlay district. Changes. 36. No changes. 37. No changes. 38. A little bit of a junk salvage yard change.
So heavy equipment, machine storage is one, and then junk salvage yard is its own separate. Right.
Yes.
Well, L2 is pretty much just Hartzell and Nelson Construction anyway.
I think the little sliver at the airport with the industrial lots is part of that too.
I think there's 9 renters.
Yeah,
So that there's L1 and L2 out at the airport or just L1?
I think there's both. Page 39. No changes. 40. No changes. 41. No changes. 42. No changes. 43. No changes. 44.
Actually, Paul, I'm gonna take you back to
Okay.
page 42. The Town Park District. In the old ordinance, it was called the Town Park Overlay District. And we got rid of the overlay because it's an actual district. It's not overlaying
Anything
anything
else?
underneath it. So
Okay,
just so, clarify that.
right.
Good idea.
$44. $45. Into section 4, general provisions. $35-foot height regulation. No changes. 46. No changes. 47, no changes. 48.
That's where we're gonna
Yep.
change the deck from 250 to 100, correct?
Yeah,
Does anyone think we need to worry about a size for hunting blind or an ice fishing shack? I don't think ice fishing shack's a big deal, but hunting blind to me is always something small, like, I don't know, 8x8 or less.
Yeah.
But I've also seen pretty fancy hunting blinds erected, so. But at the same time, I don't see someone building a 1,000-square-foot hunting blind.
we can put a size in there because you just never know.
I just brought it up. I just put size question mark it. If anyone else had a concern about it, like Jim pointed out, you're not gonna be able to cover everything anyway.
Well, there's, nothing wrong with 100 square feet.
100 square feet, and if they want something bigger, you get a permit.
Yeah,
And that's 100 square feet, still 10 by 10, that's a pretty good size hunting. Same thing with, I remember when we were doing this back in the day, and we were talking about, a tree house for children. I think that's why we said for children. But then what's the definition of a child?
I would love a huge tree fort.
40 years old, 60 years old? Oh, I mean, where do you go, I guess? I mean,
Sit up there and
treehouse masters.
watch the woodpeckers.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, well, then maybe just the hunting blind 100 square feet. I don't think the rest of it has been a problem.
Okay. $49.
It included intended for human occupancy. What was the reasoning behind that? The only reason I think it should be any building is how it used to be is, what if it's a garage or something like that, and whether it's occupied or not, shouldn't that also follow the same rules as a building that's intended for human occupancy? I don't know what you guys think, but
Yes.
I would say yes. They talk about, drain by reason of adverse soil conditions. So
I don't think, if it's a really steep grade and someone's trying to build a garage and it looks like this thing's gonna slide down the side of the bank, I don't get it.
especially now that all the accessory structures have to be UDC inspected. So let's just get rid of this intended for human occupancy.
I think the only reason we did that is because in number 2 talks about human occupancy.
Mm-hmm.
I agree that it can be taken out.
Anything else on 49? Page 50, doesn't look like any changes. Changes on 51. Nothing on 52.
Well, you took out and other rental units, but
Oh,
then
yeah.
I think it's referenced below under 1B where it says each rental unit. So I guess that would cover that, correct? I think you took it out so it wouldn't repeat itself down below. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. That's fine.
53. $54. 55. Nothing on 56. Change on 57.
Well, back on 56, the only thing that concerns me is number 10, abandonment, more of a commentary on my part. I know when Joe McCarthy was ZA years and years ago, there was a question when in the blue building, when Marie started doing her seating out there in the summer, taking plots away, and Joe actually went down there, measured everything around the building, including it back, and she made it fine. But I think over time, that's something that has to get enforced because you're seeing more and more of it morphed into, moped Dave had a little bit there at one time, but when Adventure Vacation started doing it across the street where they take out all the parking.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe they have enough parking if you divide the parking behind Arnie's office and Firefly back there, maybe it's enough, but that's something that we have to keep an eye on because it does cause parking issues downtown in the summertime. Just a commentary on my part more than anything.
It's a good thing it's there in case it needs to work.
It came up originally when Marie was the first one that had maybe moped too with his scooters out there. But there seems to be more and more of it happening all the time down there. We're to a point of where you can't park on either side down there.
Right.
Art Gill too.
And I remember when I was on the board, Greg Nelson was chair and we were talking about parking a lot in those days. And he said, it basically behooves people, if you're going to have a business, like he said, if I wanted a business downtown, I'd want to provide parking so I'd have customers able to park in front of my business. And by taking it away, I don't know how smart that is, but I'm glad it's in there. It's just something that has to be looked at, I think, on occasion. That's all.
Number 9 has exceptions. I'm not sure how that would affect, because
Well, you'd have to look back and see when that section was enacted. I think the parking section came after 72 at some point.
yeah, I don't know. That, when somebody first mentioned it to me and I looked at the ordinance and I saw where there was exceptions, right away, well, are they exempt or not?
Right.
How do you know?
You'd have to go back in the vault, back in the files and find out when parking was included. I want to say it was probably sometime in the early 90s.
I don't think there's any complaints in the file right now for parking.
Is that something that you think we should look into and clarify it and enforce it if necessary, or?
I guess having an exact date couldn't hurt because, if someone wanted to take time to find out when this section of parking was enacted, it's basically saying, let's not make things any worse. If
Right.
someone was doing this, say, I'm just throwing a date out there, 1995, okay, well, you're basically grandfathered in, for lack of a better term. But if next year someone wants to remove parking and have, and just have more seating out there, well,
There's all kinds of cottages on Main Street with 0 parking and they're on the street and that's it.
Yep. Well, all those cottages, granted, I don't know, when, if they're renting it, maybe that's a question, but back in the day, I mean, that's just the small size and all those lots were created long before 72, so. Got to park somewhere. Seemed like parking was a bigger issue back in the late 90s, early 2000s. I think people nowadays are just used to, first come, first serve.
The cars shrunk.
Yeah. Or you're gonna walk a long way. We do have more parking lots now too than we had back in the 90s. I don't think that parking lot by the school happened until well into the late 90s, not early 2000s. Just as an example.
So when I was reading through this, and I was wondering, especially Margie Frederickson property really bothers me, that it's clear cut. And it says that Ashland County is the one that takes care of shoreline overlay when you don't do what you're supposed to do. But so I took out the fee schedule. I don't see any fees that we have to enforce stuff. Like if there's abandoned parking spaces, what is the fee to the business that took them away? I didn't see that.
But one time we had if you couldn't provide parking, then you could purchase parking at a town parking lot for so much.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like when like Walmart, they build something, they take away wetlands. You got to create wetlands somewhere else, same amount that you filled in
Yeah.
for a Walmart.
Or holding ponds.
Exactly. So we had something like that. I think it was pretty much a failure because no one was willing to pay anything. So
So that's why it's not on the fee schedule.
if it's on the fee schedule, I don't even know if we referenced that anymore. I thought that got taken out.
I didn't see it.
Just
I
because
just, yeah.
it was basically unenforceable and no one was following the rules
Okay.
anyway, so. I don't know if Sue Ellen remembers that.
No, I don't go back that far, I don't think.
I remember that.
So. do we
I
want
know
to
we've approached the problem of parking downtown previous times. But you know, the businesses, what are you gonna do? Marie has her place for people to eat, and the Art Guild has stuff now, and there's just, I don't know, provide more parking over by the field, I guess.
I think the town has made as many parking lots downtown as they can with all the property the town owns. I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the town's maxed out, but.
The only way that I foresee pursuing this would have Rich look up, see what he can find on dates that reference when people are eligible for an exemption for parking, and if we want them to go through all that or not.
Or you just do away with abandonment altogether, and
I don't think we want to do that.
I'm saying that's the only.
But there needs to be consequences. I mean, if it says you can't abandon them, but then we don't do anything about it, then.
Well, there needs to be a complaint first.
Right. But if there was a complaint, what is the so I looked in the fees, I don't see a consequence. That's the thing. If there was a complaint.
Well, I mean, there's the general for breaking the ordinance, there's a $500
$500.
a day forfeiture.
Okay,
If it gets to court for
Right.
non-compliance.
right. Okay,
So there is some underlying piece.
right.
So how do you feel about pursuing that or not?
I think it's a good idea. If we can find an exact date of the enactment of this parking section, I'd say probably sometime in the 90s. I don't think we're changing the ordinance all that often, but I think then that would be fair that people would say, well, I was here before a certain date
So put the date into the number 10,
or number 9.
Number 9.
into number 9.
Yep.
Because it references the date of enactment of the section. I don't even.
Right, yeah, number 9, yep.
If I don't know, or anyone else, and you know, because if the ZA doesn't know, we don't know, the general public's not gonna know, so whoever reads this from the general public say, well, what's the date of enactment of this section? We're gonna be
I
like,
can,
I
I
don't
can
know.
take a walk down in the basement
There you
and spend
go.
a little bit of time. Reasonable.
Pick a good snow day.
Yes.
Well,
Max can go with you.
not,
You
not
get a
to
good job
exceed
in the basement too.
12 minutes.
Yeah,
A reasonable amount of time.
reasonable amount of time.
Okay. 57. $58. And on the bottom of 58, we went from 2 to 1 camper.
That was the sentiment at a public hearing.
Yep. $59.
The only thing that draw attention to me is under first bullet point, sanitary waste disposal, and then the second bullet point down about a portable toilet with disposal at an approved sanitary dump station. What if we remove that language and add, if something, or add to it, if allowed by the Ashland County, if allowed by Ashland County and the Madeline Sanitary District in regards to a portable toilet, because I know that was the sanitary district's concern. It's allowing portable toilet disposal. They're having problems with their effluent levels out there.
Do
Yeah.
we have a definition for portable toilet? Some people just use a 5-gallon pickle barrel.
Can't
What
find
I'm
it.
saying is, we can leave it in there, but I'd at least like the language added, if approved by Ashland County and the Madeline Sanitary District, because it's affecting them. If they allow it, I have no problem with it. But I don't think we can just say a port that, you know, shall be provided by one. I think we're sending a mixed message if we're saying it's okay to allow a portable toilet with disposal at an approved sanitary dump station if they don't allow it, and there's only one dump station on the island.
Yeah, that's important.
And the same thing down below, underneath camping on a lot during construction. The second bullet point, third bullet point within that down there, it says the same thing, a portable toilet with disposal at an approved sanitary dump station. Again, I would add, my suggestion is to add to that if allowed by Ashland County and the Madeline Sanitary District.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Thoughts?
Yeah, fine.
So
And if they allow it, fine.
you say in the second bullet point on, at the very top.
At the very top, yeah, there's the solid dark bullet point and then the second one down with the open donut hole.
Okay, and then under B,
And then under B, same thing, Jim, underneath the second bullet point,
Mm-hmm.
area waste disposal, the third donut hole down, it says a portable toilet with disposal, basically the same thing.
so both of those.
Yeah, I would at least add the language if allowed by Ashland County and the Madeline Sanitary District.
That's important, I think.
So do you want if allowed or if approved?
Allowed.
I thought allowed.
So they don't have to approve it?
Well,
I mean, approval,
Okay, well,
you said, you know, you're gonna need something in writing.
yeah,
yeah, okay, well, I'll go with approved.
yeah, I think that's probably
Get
better.
the message across a little bit more, I guess. Actually, I had it to loud up here and if approved down there, so.
And maybe we should consult with the sanitary
Right.
district before we
And ask.
start adding stuff.
Okay,
And not directly related, but you know, we talked several months ago about the holding tank between 100 gallons and 2,000.
Right.
I have started conversations with DSPS on that. I told everyone it was going to be a winter project while it's winter, so we'll have to keep that in mind as we.
Yeah.
finalize.
And then as another thought process with that, since it's mentioned several times on this page, we could also denote it with an asterisk with just one statement at the
Or-
bottom.
Right.
Could do that as well.
yeah,
Yeah, and that also, the reason I pick it up is because, you know, the Madeline Sanitary District is going to be key in that, as well as Ashland County. So, you know, ultimately, we could come up with something that Madeline Sanitary District says, yeah, no,
Yeah,
then we can't go forward with that.
so we should check the Madeline Island Sanitary District first.
Well, we're, on the holding tank, we're working with DSPS to see if they are willing to entertain that. And if they are, I mean, we've briefed Madeline Sanitary District at a high level with the appropriate caveats. You know, I don't know what DSPS is going to say if they add in additional caveats or, you know, Madeline Sanitary District at the end of the day needs to approve it.
Mhm.
So
Now you're talking about those holding tanks.
the above ground, the above.
Okay, so by getting back to this item, should we check with Madeline Island?
We should, I think we should.
First, before we talk that.
just because the word approval was suggested. So if we're gonna have a word in there that says approval,
Right.
I think we need to consult with them before.
We do.
just-
So yeah, absolutely. Otherwise we're assigning work.
Check with the sanitary district before we talk to Ashland County,
Right.
because sanitary district is
More,
impacted.
actually more important than Ashland
Right.
County.
Right, okay.
I only mentioned it Ashland County because they're the ones in charge of pallets, right?
Right.
Yes.
You do that, don't you? You're deputized for the,
Pallets.
Well, I work with them.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it has to have,
Ultimately.
yeah,
Yeah.
it has to have Bruce's signature on it.
Bruce White.
Yes, yes,
Likely.
yes.
Are we off to page 62?
I think we're on page 60. Did you talk
60?
about long-term camping?
Oh, okay.
I think currently in the ordinance, one of the items that is taken out underneath long-term camping is that no accessory dwelling currently exists on the property. Camping, I don't know if that's a long-term camping unit, excuse me. I think that was brought up by somebody at one of our public hearings, why that was taken out of long-term camping units.
What was taken out, Charlie? Oh, no accessory dwelling?
No accessory dwelling currently exists on the property. So I think that's, we were saying, okay, you can have you can have your principal dwelling, obviously. You can have a long-term camping unit that probably isn't going anywhere, but then should you have triple density with an accessory dwelling as well?
Yeah.
I think that was the concern.
Mm-hmm.
I think a long-term camping unit was by and large a replacement for someone having an accessory dwelling
Mm-hmm.
on the property. Otherwise, you're looking at triple density.
Yep.
I think we should avoid that. I know there was concerns at the public hearing about
Well,
services and having too much density.
but if you have primary dwelling.
Yeah.
You have an accessory dwelling.
Yep.
That can be inhabited year round.
Mhm.
Long-term camping for more than 30 days.
Seems like a lot on one parcel.
Yeah.
Well,
I think that's why that was in there previously, and I don't know why it
but
was
at the
taken.
same time, if somebody has an accessory dwelling on their property and they want to allow someone to long-term camp for 60 days or something. I see it as providing possible housing for summer employees.
Mm.
I guess I'd rather see an accessory dwelling provide that than a long-term camping unit. If someone chooses to put in a camping unit for that purpose, fine.
Well, yeah, I mean, right now it's for 30 days, so, you know, but
I just look at this as,
you're thinking of extending the 30 days to maybe 90.
This is more than 30.
this is the long-term, so that'd be more than 30.
Okay. Yeah,
But I think that's why it was in there. I know what you're saying.
so you know, if you've got a primary dwelling and a second dwelling and a camping unit, you're only allowed to use that camping unit for less than 30 days.
Oh, this is long-term.
No, but this is
camping
long- this is the
for
difference.
30 days.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. Okay.
It was short term. If someone comes and like you have some friends that come up
Right,
and camp for 25, 29 days, whatever,
okay,
big deal. I mean, that's, you know, they're here, they're gone, but long term, it's probably not going anywhere. It's more than 30 days, more than likely.
yeah.
That's my concern is the density part of it.
Yep.
Especially if it's on a smaller lot, trying to avoid land use conflict with neighbors as much as we can. And your double density, I know that's a term I throw out a lot, but you're allowed 2 buildings already, or you can have a primary principal dwelling and a long-term camping unit. That's still fine. Maybe someone can't, with the price of building materials, they can't afford an accessory dwelling and a long-term camping unit shows up like a fifth wheel. Well, okay, fine. You follow the rules. You're good to go. At least I thought that was a concern by some people at one of our
It
public
was.
hearing was, you know, how dense is, or how much is too much?
So are you thinking there's changes that need to be made?
Yeah, it needs to be, no, you can have a long-term camp if you don't have an accessory dwelling.
I would just, you know, the only change is putting G back in, EFG, no accessory dwelling currently exists on the property if you're gonna have a long-term camping unit.
Mhm.
Because that's currently in the ordinance, and I don't know if a lot of people have had a concern or complaint about that being in there. I don't think so, but I know what Jim's saying. You want to have opportunities for people to have some sort of affordable housing. I also think it's a choice whether you want to do accessory dwelling, 4 walls and a roof, or if you want to bring in, say, a fifth wheel as a long-term camping unit. Kind of like what Jody and Elena did. Granted, they're in the commercial zone and it's a little bit different, but
Yeah. Well, they're the only ones that are grandfathered into rent.
Yeah. We went round and round on that.
Yep.
yeah, originally it said no accessory dwelling currently exists on the property. I think there was a reason for that. I thought it was well thought out at the time, and I know things change. This document is fluid as it should be.
So it's a consensus to add that back in.
Add it back in.
Yes.
I actually think we need to clamp down on campers. They just seem to multiply like flies. Ready for 61?
Yeah.
Maybe after 62, we'll adjourn the meeting if everyone's agreeable. Start the next one with signs.
Under 60, page 2. They talk about removal of shoreline cover. I think you can only do so much and stuff. Is there any penalty if you do take more than you should?
Yes,
I think the DNR probably,
Or
Yeah.
the DNR, yeah.
do we need to reference that at all? Do the right thing or you report you to the DNR?
it's been known to happen, but usually that's a neighbor thing, and someone's clear cutting a lot right next to you and you're.
Okay, it does say that at page 62C, the last sentence, it says the enforcement of the shoreline protection ordinance is responsibility of the Ashland County.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
We'll pass the buck.
Yeah.
Do that more often.
Rich is busy enough with it. I don't want to burn him up.
The DNR does get involved in that.
In the Army.
Yeah, there's a complaint that word goes.
Yeah, I was gonna say it before. Only could be an issue. I mean, if you're on the lake front, or
Well,
someone's
they-
clear cutting right next to you,
They,
and their property starts to erode, it could, affect
they
you.
fine and make you replant. And I know cases where that's happened and the replanting never happened. And once they get the fine, they quit caring.
Well, it should be
We had that a while back, it seems to me.
$500 a day or
For offense.
Until you plant,
until you plant, yeah.
yeah. Oh,
So Chair, what were you thinking? If
well,
save signs for next week? Or-
yeah,
Yeah. We could do that.
we'll start with signs the next time.
Okay.
Yeah, we did. We've got future agenda, or no, let's see, no new business, future agenda items. We'll add as necessary. An extended public comment, less than 5 minutes, Paul. Let's start on my,
Watch it fall. I'm in the mixed use zone. I'm still opposed to it because people will think it's the same as the commercial zone and it's not. Number two, regarding the parking, especially around the blue building, before we owned that coffee shop, Joe Forsyth had it, and he started the bistro style seating. So it's really not so much her, it's she just kind of did it, but that was a case of, it's easier to ask for forgiveness, to ask for permission. You start with one or two seats and it just kind of multiplies. So I don't put it all on Bree's shoulders, she just kind of inherited what was already there and no one stopped Joe, so you just kind of continue, so it's not for reason. And regarding the definition of a portable toilet, the DNR does have definitions for that, I think it's under NR 113. Jim or Paul, if you guys wanna ask me sometime, I can certainly look it up for you, if you get on the sanitary district, you can certainly look it up yourself. And I'll tell you, regarding portable toilets, I'd suggest putting in your ordinance if allowed, because the DNR, you'll find this out too, Paul, when or if you're elected in the district. The DNR wants treatment plants to accept as much waste as possible, as long as you don't exceed your effluent permit. When you exceed your effluent permit, shame. But they want you to take as much as you can, so it's a nice fine line you get to walk. If you accept too much, sorry, no more. So you're walking a very fine line, and you don't want to exceed that line. So when you start saying these people that think, oh yeah, we'll take as much trailer waste as you want, no. So I'm happy you're kind of putting a limit on the trailers, because how much concentrated the portable job waste is, well, the plant you have there really wasn't designed to take it. So limiting it goes a long ways. And you can say, yeah, we can take some waste now, it's great, but it's not a bottomless pit, guys. So by limiting it, that's a great thing. And if we can take it, great. But if allowed, that's a good terminology to use.
I'm gonna get off course a little bit because I've got a question.
Well, I'm not gonna
So
pitch you out and say,
so
no,
more-
answer.
the more shower water that goes into your plant, the better.
Well, put it this way, I could go for hours on this, you're gonna shut me off after 5 minutes. The plant's designed to take 258 pounds of BOD a day, up to 151,000 gallons of waste a day, that's it. So you can factor those two things together, and that's what the plant is designed to take.
Okay.
And I can go more on ammonium nitrogen, I can go on other waste as well, but it was never designed to take it. Disinfection, you want me to go on to more and more? I'm gonna go past the 5 minutes.
Please no.
Yeah, I'll ask my questions in a couple months.
Okay,
Yeah.
When do you get it?
never know, there might be a write-in, you never know. You know, what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to put a disclaimer on this. If I show up at these meetings, you're at these meetings, if there's a majority of the sanitary district, even though some decision will be made, there's a forum.
There's a potential. Cross that bridge when we get to it.
I won't cut you off, don't worry about that, I'll work.
And anything else, Paul?
I'll wait until next week.
Okay, thanks. Next scheduled meeting, February 4th, 4:30.
4:30, whatever you guys want to do.
I kind of like 4, now that
Well,
it's
in the winter, right now, I can probably make 4 if it's good for
Yeah.
everyone else. Get home a little early.
summer later is better.
Yeah. I don't know what everyone else thinks. What does Sue Ellen think?
Or is good.
I can probably leave work early until April, and then I can't
Right.
close the shop early.
Well, let's try 4 again.
Okay.
Okay.
Good, better for you?
I'll get it, yes, yeah, it works perfect.
Yeah.
I'll get it right for Steve.
4 o'clock.
Yep.
Yeah, our regular meeting or ordinance stuff,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
also,
Yes.
well, then we're gonna start at 4.
Right.
Yeah.
Are we adjourned?
We're adjourned.
Thank you, guys.
Night, Sue Ellen.
Night, guys.
Night.
Stay warm. Take care of each other.